So I stake a little bit more. But and then at the point is when I can buy the ticket, and then I think about should I stay or no? Because at that moment I need to graduate my master's degree in Hong Kong, but I need to finish a documentary, so I need to make a decision to do the documentary in Mexico or in Hong Kong. And then I struggle like 2 months, and then I feel like I want to jump out of my comfort zone because I think it's maybe the only chance I can make a documentary in Mexico. And then so I give up, go back to Hong Kong, so I make a documentary here and then stay 3 months more here. And then in that few months, actually, I combine with more artists here and also see more life in Mexico. And actually, because before I came to Mexico, I feel like Mexico is like spicy food, drug dealer, and then violence. I don't like talk about Mexico actually.
Yeah.
But then when I came, I found out, oh, it's not only like that. People are super friendly in this religious country, and they have very strong family culture. And then I think this is one of the important points is the family culture. They will define what is family to me, because in Hong Kong the family culture is a little bit more individual, a little bit cold. We're gonna express love in the home, but in Mexico, they are so strong family culture. We love each other so much. They express every day, every moment. So it's made me learn how to love my family, even we're in distance now. It's made me know how to communicate with them more and try to build a better relationship with them too. I think all these factors make me stay longer because I feel like I'm learning how to live a life here. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. So because of the taco is spicy foods, but now you eat a lot of taco. Do you play salsa? Do you dance salsa actually?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Green salsa.
So you learn salsa and then you are there because of love, expression of love.
Yeah, actually, I think the food here is one of the important reasons because sometimes I miss Hong Kong so much. But I will tell myself, oh my God, the taco is so good, all the food is so good here. It's okay not to eat Hong Kong for a while. So I think that's important too.
How much is the taco in Mexico though? One taco is how much?
How long I stay here or how much?
How much is the taco? One taco in Mexico is how much? In Hong Kong dollar.
Let me calculate. It's like 3 Hong Kong dollars for
Kidding me? 3 Hong Kong dollar. The last time I ate taco is 120 Hong Kong dollar in Hong Kong.
Oh my God! That's another reason I stay here.
Okay, we are coming to Mexico to you then. Host us for tacos. Okay, now we're going to move in another way. So I want to with you guys. And I mean, usually when we travel to different places, like we've been influenced, like people that influence us, we change usually in the new culture that we've been taught. I am an African guy, I'm from Chad. Our culture is very strong and aggressive. But in Hong Kong, I feel like I'm really becoming very, very cold. Maybe my Somali brother can understand me. So in Hong Kong, I become really a bit kind of like to think more to do something. So my identity, I feel, is a bit changed. Do you guys think your identity, living in Hong Kong for 30 years, for 20 years, and you a few years in Mexico, is changed? There is something new in your identity. As a person.
Yes.
Is that?
Oh. Yes.
You change.
It's something you can't put your foot on. It's something indefinable. I've changed. I mean, physically I've changed. I'm older now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
No, you look young. Sorry, you yourself.
I know. But I've also changed in my attitude. I mean, my acceptance of other people. I no longer point fingers. I no longer. I feel that I'm generally. And this is going to sound like a platitude. I don't care if you don't believe me, but I feel cosmopolitan. I have a British passport, but I'm not a flag-waving Brit. I don't miss it. The only thing I miss about it is my family, and I have a romantic nostalgia for the countryside. I think Britain is beautiful, but I have no ties.
So now you are more Chinese than British, obviously.
No, I'm going on.
Oh, they Hong Kong yeah. Oh, big So, how about you, Mr. Julius? Like, I mean, you're a Cameroonian, you're my neighbor actually from Chad. I know how Cameroonians behave, and you guys, you love avocado so much, that's why you are so big. So in Hong Kong, avocado is too expensive. I mean, like, one avocado maybe in Hong Kong is $12 or even $15 for an avocado. Like, I'm surprised. So,
$14.
$14, you know more than me, you see, I know that. Okay, so tell me, your identity is changed. Do you think, like, when's your wife? She's young, supposed to be more Chinese than Cameroonian?
No, really, she has been in Cameroon the first time with me. Before we got married, she was in Cameroon. So,
Oh, she was already in Cameroon then. Okay, now this is the reverse one.
I was in Cameroon. And for me, when I speak about the call passion, where you sit very well, where you understand people, it's very good. And the most important thing in the society is how
Maybe a bit louder.
Yeah, I said the most important thing in the society is to know about the people living within around you. Yeah, so that you can see how they're moving and you should know about their culture. Once you know about their culture, it's very simple and going, okay, that's good. But like back home, we have this aggressive culture or have this aggressive way of moving on things. Yeah. But in Hong Kong, first thing you think fast, and then you have to do things on time. But back home, we think slow and do things the time we want.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone saying Hong Kong is very, very fast. And now it's by fact that you, like in Cameroon, it's slow, here it's very fast.
Yeah.
And Cameroon, you use avocado muscular. In Hong Kong, you use brain.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, okay, how about Yukko? It is like the taco, you know, the chill life of Mexico, the salsa. Like, how did you change though? What is about Hong Kong, about mostly Ghana to Mexico? What's changed about you?
Yeah, really, it's a big change because the pacing of life is so different here. When I was in Hong Kong, I don't even have time to sleep and eat well.
Oh.
But when I was in Mexico, it's like, oh my god, I almost work every week. And then I don't do like that in Hong Kong before, but it's like trying to learn how to live in the moment, how to spend time with people, and it's all done my whole life. And I think that's good for me because I learned how to have work-life balance. Even I love my work so much, but I think I should learn how to spend time with people. So I'm learning a lot here.
It looks like you don't have intention to come back.
Yeah, so I don't know where do I come in. That's really a big question.
Yes, I see. So now we're going to make it a bit like open and chill and more interactive. So you guys, our amazing, wonderful, not smiling faces audience. So do you have like whatever question, please ask, and those three amazing people they will respond to you as much as they can. Thank you so much.
I can shout.
No, because we need to record. So
I would ask, what would you say to a person that says go back to your country?
say it again.
What if the authority, police, immigration of the country that you are in tells you go back to your country?
Go back to your country. Good question. Usually around the world, people they tell you, few angry people they tell you go back to your country. So yes, who wanna answer to this? Go back to your country. Great.
To me, frankly, it's never ever happened. I mean, I've had comments about Polylogue, and in China, I would occasionally some little Tommy Triad on his bicycle would ride by and shout, "Die pizza!" Big nose or something like that.
Nose.
But I just shout back small nose. I've never felt this. I've never been asked this. But if I was told that, then I might say, sorry, this is my country.
It's your country. You feel part of the country. So how about you, Jude? It's like anyone actually first of all told you go back to your country?
Yes, of course. Italy football field, you receive so many type of results.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel when they told you go back to your country?
At times I just answer it is not your country also because you are from China, you come here.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
really, the question you ask is so pertinent, so really. Do you know like when someone is under the immigration paper and then they keep on threatening you or you have to go back to your country, this is why you come here, why this? It's only to that person not to say anything or just to calm down, say it is not their country also.
Right.
Really, yes.
Go back to your country. Yeah. Great. So now let's go to Mexico. Yukko, anyone Mexican? I know they're very chill people. They don't have time for you. Only their tacos. Anyone told you go back to your country?
Actually, this is another reason why I stay here, because they're super welcoming. Because during the pandemic moments, I know in Europe and United States, people discriminate Asian people. They will attack them because they think they break the virus. But in Mexico, even during the pandemic, when I go out and I can't speak Spanish, but they're super friendly and super helpful to me. So it makes me feel like home. And also, I feel like I'm as ambassador. I feel like I'm an ambassador for Hong Kong because they don't know Hong Kong. They think Hong Kong is Japan, is Korea, is China. So every time I meet a new friend, I will tell them, oh, Hong Kong is Hong Kong.
Sorry, but you look Korean actually. Yes, please.
So I can share what's happening here and what is Hong Kong to them. So I feel it's great to be like that. And this is one interesting fact is when I start to eat spicy thing or when I drink tequila, then they will say, oh, you're a Mexican now. So they're super welcoming, so they just love you. So yeah.
I say, great. I hope really the answer your question.
So the follow-up question of that would be, so what would you say about Hong Kong immigration? Tell someone like me, go back to your country.
Unfortunately, none of them they are under Hong Kong immigration. So, like maybe you can share actually about your feelings with us. I think they really be happy to hear that.
So I would say, so like based on what you guys say, that like
it's actually all about experiences, and they are not just because under Hong Kong immigration department they don't know the feelings of that. Definitely, you have different ones.
So the thing is, one part of migrating to other country is based on necessity and threat on your life. So
right.
You migrate legally, illegally, or by force, or you ask for asylum.
Right.
So that's one shape of migration. The thing is that in Hong Kong, immigration and the government and the system and the political powers, they believe that all asylum seekers should go back to their countries.
Right.
So, and I want to know their comments, because they are saying that, okay, the migration is right, you should be allowed to go, and if you want to stay, you should stay.
I understand.
So,
I think because of the
get their
channel,
response.
yeah, the point is because the channel is different. Like, I mean, they are legally, like, considered, I will not start topic, considered to be, they took the legal way to go for migration. So unfortunately, and this channel didn't apply on them, that's why they don't feel it, they don't know about it. This is the only difference I can put it though. Yeah. So just come out.
I don't want to make it on.
Okay, sure. As you like.
Continue, but I have the answers.
And yeah, I was following up with the experiences shared by the guests. And I'm sorry actually if my question could be different from the topic.
No worry, it's okay. As long as they're happy to answer it though.
Okay. So the question I'm asking is that when you move, as you move to different kinds of cultures, as for example John mentioned you went to the mainland first, and if I remember very well, and then to Hong Kong. So I wonder like, what, apart from the cultural shocks sometimes you meet, what is one thing maybe or two things that you will say that, you know what, I live in this place for this time, and this is something positive that I have gained from this particular culture, that I want to use it maybe in my life.
Great. Thank you for the question. So who want to answer to that? Something particular?
Yeah, just a quick response to John. My situation, I'm a permanent resident here, but I know that that could change any time. And if I'm ever told to go, I would shrug and say, thank you very much, I've really enjoyed my stay, and I'd go. Thank you.
Right.
Again, I have the option of going back to my Britain, or I have the option of going to the United States, or married to an American. So it's not quite the same as returning to other countries. And as for you, the one positive thing that I feel about Hong Kong, and this is after 30 years and it remains unchanged, is that I find it always interesting. Every single day there is something that is interesting or different. I never suffered from culture shock, frankly. I just not me. Interesting. An example. I sometimes sit outside the 7-Eleven near where I stay. Sorry, I smoke cigarettes. I'm sitting there, and there's a Nepali group of ladies who clean the streets. These are elderly, middle-aged ladies. They're all the daughters and relatives of Gurkha soldiers who were born here. And I've learned a lot from them. They're lovely people. They teach me Nepali songs. They're cleaning up the bags. And I'm thinking, gee, where else in the world, how is it that I'm sitting outside a 7-Eleven learning Nepali songs from a group of Nepalese cleaning ladies? To me, that is a lovely experience, and it's one of many. Another thing, positive.
Sorry to cut you.
I could go on for ages. I haven't finished.
But actually, you can be there is many white people who are Hong Kong, go for junk and stuff. Why we still go to 7-Eleven to go and smoke outside to talk with amazing Nepalese people on the street?
Well, I don't get smoke outside. By coincidence, another thing about this place is that Hong Kong, 7 million of us in a very, very tight, small community, right? One of the most densely populated places in the world. And yet, it's intimate. I meet people every day that I've seen, these two people here, sorry to embarrass you, these two people here are neighbours of mine in Lantau. I've seen these people. There's that guy over there. These people I've met because I'm involved. I get out, I look around, I know people. A great advantage of being in Hong Kong. Never do that in my country, never.
I say, wonderful. So how about Akosha, Julius? Do you want him to repeat the question, or just going to answer to that? I see. We move on. I hope we satisfied you, though. Great. So, anyone? Any question? Make it interesting. Yes.
Actually, I think we don't need to just ask questions to the guests. We can just have open discussion. Everyone can express your view. And what interesting me, because actually I studied 2 years for migration, refugees and migration in Germany. So this is really an interesting topic for me. And then spent 2 years, I keep thinking about on the more philosophical discussion on this topic. So what does it mean migration? Actually, from the very beginning, it can be right of movement of people. So who set up the border of countries? This is not something natural, created by God, and then from the first day of human being, there's border, there's country, there's nation state, and you have passport to move around, you need a visa to enter a country. This is not something that by the nature, this is created. So, I don't know, and I don't know what I'm saying actually, but maybe we just bring up a different perspective to view about this topic. But okay, so if visa or passport, this kind of stuff that created by the government? Is that also something that by our nature as a human being, we just want to stay with people like similar to us, with the same race, same culture, and then we are naturally more exclusive to other people with other culture, other practice? Or we just naturally can embrace diversity? Or this is something that by our blood, we don't want to have diversity? This is something I feel like, I don't know.
You are raising this as a discussion or you're asking as a question?
Ask everyone.
Okay, asking as a question to everybody. There's someone asking the mic there. Please give it to him. Sorry, actually, again, actually, we should, when you receive the mic, also present yourself first, who you are, and then you can ask. I didn't introduce it at the beginning. Sorry for that again. Yes, gentlemen, who are you?
Hi, this is Ken.
Nice
I'm
to meet you,
actually
Ken.
running an immigration agency in Hong Kong.
Wow.
I don't see integration as a business. It's actually a nature of human being. Because I have been living in 6 countries.
Great.
I got some different residency as well. Because I just love moving to different countries and see new things. Because I think it's a bit pity for your whole life if you stuck in one place for forever. Because anyone is free, whether you are rich or poor, you have the same span of life. Why don't you experience the whole world and see more different things, experience different culture and try new stuff? Because I just love, moving to different countries and getting there, whether good or bad experience.
More
It's
than
part of
agree,
your
more than
journey.
agree. Yeah. Can you tell us one of your movement, your story, just one interesting thing that amazed you will never forget it?
A lot of my moves actually by accident as well, not
Oh,
planned.
you
Because
followed them?
Yeah, because
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking about.
I'm fine. Yeah, I guess I was born in China. I studied in Singapore, and I got into my first job was with a Canadian company in Singapore. Then they sent me to Canada. At that time I was a bit nervous because I never been to North America. I thought Canada is like a big refrigerator. And I actually wanted to move to US rather than Canada.
Yeah.
But after living there, I fall in love with them because it's like the people were so nice, and the environment is so green, and everything is such like a surprising. It's a surprise to me. I actually love that place.
It's interesting. You also mentioned about people. They also mentioned about people. So actually, it's not the place. Could be the people.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big factor. I mean, whether you fall in love with the place, I think people play a very important factor.
Right.
Whether you feel welcome, you feel warm in that place.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Yes, give the mic behind you. There is Phil asking. You are Phil.
I'm not asking. I just want to also.
Who are you first?
My name is Wilton. You already introduced us. I'm from Sudan, but the southern part.
Right.
For me, I feel like most of the audience who have been talking, like our guest speakers, they talk from a different perspective of migration, but also there another perspective of migration, like people who enter a territory or a country illegally. They are not entitled to, like, for example, get any resident permit. They do not have access to maybe work, because like for him, he moved to Canada, he find a life there, and because he have that legal status, like, oh, I'm going to be here and I work here. So most of their focus is on learning the culture, the life, and like there's nothing like worrying of your identity and status, if I'm not mistaken, right? John and Akosah. Your situation also is the same thing. But also there's another perspective of like, oh, you find yourself in a place, like what John was talking about. You find yourself in a place and you're fighting to adapt to that situation, and the law is also fighting against you because you are not legally, you did not enter into that country legally. So from that perspective, you find that I think that's where there's a lot of problems. That's where I think this thing was talking more about like, you will not find that the community is more welcoming to you because either because you are not legally a resident, and you can start getting that kind of queer look or queer question when you want to access job or certain social necessities of life. That is, I think, the big picture of where the problem is, where the crisis is. So in that context, you find yourself like, especially in Hong Kong, there's nothing that we can hide because the situation of refugees and asylum seekers is like something that most of the community don't want to talk about or people don't want even to hear. Why? I don't think if John want to talk to anyone here, nobody will say, oh, he want to like start up something. It's much easier compared to someone who is illegal, or not illegal in the sense that the person is really illegal, but the law and the system that is put in place kind of warehouse that the life of that person to be illegal in that sense. So from that perspective, I think, what do you have to say, like John and culture? If you ever found yourself kind of like living in a place, though you do not enter legally, but before getting a legal status of living in that place, what kind of experience did you have, either with immigration, and how did you like overcome it? Were you having any difficulties? So those are the kind of things that maybe would be helpful for others also.
Great, good question. So, here is a question before your legal status to be in Hong Kong. So, which kind of difficulties have you faced? Who want to answer to that? Any difficulties you faced before to be legalized in this place?
Yes, I faced one of the when almost the year that I need to have the last visa before I can have my permanent, like to be a permanent. You know, like it was on the flight coming back. We just play Asian Cup. The team tell me, sorry, you are not going to be with us. They are telling me on the 26th of May, meanwhile the visa is expiring on the 31st of May. 28th to 21st.
Like
so,
2 to 3 days.
Yes. It's like you put on a shoes that have a stone inside. You cannot move. It's very painful. Anytime you are moving, the stone inside the shoe is catching the leg. So when I survived that situation, like I arrived, the first thing, I had to sign with another club, even for nothing, because I need that visa so that I can really stay and restart again. From there, your brain is not working, even no matter what they're telling you on the street, you don't feel comfortable. I've been with people that they arrived here the first days, and staff ferry was like, you know, the building of the staff ferry, those this thing. Is it the registration for the marriage or something, that building like that? This is where you see people sleeping. So many people sleeping there before.
Right.
So I try to put myself into their shoes after when I crossed that bridge, that when I had the last visa, when I crossed that bridge, I put myself in their shoes. It was so painful. Yes.
I see. So the difficulties was just right away you go to get your permanent residence.
Yes.
Is the difficulty you face it?
Like the club refused to give me the visa.
Why? What's the reason?
No, you just no. We don't have to go. We cannot prolong your visa again for next year because we don't want you. You have to look for another club.
Just because we don't want you.
Yes,
That's it.
yes, that's it. Okay. That then they cannot tell you the reason because you're at the end of the contract.
Right.
If they tell you 1 month before time, yes, now you can prepare.
Yes.
Yes. Meanwhile, maybe you are traveling out for the last game. You know, oh, okay, I know I will not be with these people again for next season. So you have to concentrate and look for another company, another team to sign you, give you contract or travel. But no, stay 5 days outside. I think the last game was in Singapore. Play in Singapore, stay another 2 days. Oh, coming back and then they tell you this message.
And
Yeah.
so, like, how actually you get married to get this last visa? I mean, you sign another contract or just the team prolonged to you your contract?
No, when I arrive, we don't have training that day. We arrive early in the morning. We don't have training, arrive at 11. So I immediately have to go back to one of my old team and tell them, look, I need to sign because this is the club refused. They say, what? Is it true? I say, yes, it's true. They have not renewed my contract like this. But normally you were supposed to extend your visa before this time, before traveling. I say, they just tell me that after when we come back, we're going to do everything and talk about the contract again. So what do you want me to do? I said, no, I have to sign first.
Right, interesting, interesting. How about you? Any difficulties? UK passport, white privilege?
Listen, I can sympathize and empathize. Those two words are different, right?
Right.
By accident of birth, I was born white.
Definitely, I see
again, that. Again, I had British.
Right,
with
right.
all that entails, all the luggage.
Right.
When I came here, there was no problem. I have no special talents, people. I came here as an ex-soldier and policeman. I learned my teaching trade, my current profession, here. And so I have no special talent. There's nothing special about me.
Right.
It's just that I was born who I am.
You know how to speak very well English.
And my English is perfect, mate. All right? Can you know how to speak English? No problem, mate. All right?
But now you're speaking actually American English, though. You don't want to speak British
I
English.
speak
Why?
perfect because, hey, wait. When I came here, I had an accent. I come from Birmingham, right? I'm from Birmingham.
Right.
Love it up there. But they don't want Birmingham accents here. They want somebody who speaks RP, British. And so I learned my language. I learned how to speak received pronunciation. And that's what I teach. All right?
This is how you adapt. So you change even your own language.
I'm a chameleon.
Right. Good. We have John outside as comedian. Actually, John, next week he is having a show. If you can go, please approach him, and then he's going to entertain you so much for over 1 hour. John, I will see you next week on Saturday. Yes. Maybe pass to him the mic. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Yukko, I'm sorry. Kind of like we forgot you. I'm really sorry. So now, yes. What's your answer? Do you have any difficulties actually in Mexico? Really about visa system restrictions? People, not about the people. The people is amazing. How about the government? I mean, the immigration department. What are the difficulties you face it?
Actually, as I mentioned before, Mexico is a very chill country, so their government system is super chill too. So actually, they are not working very well.
What?
So,
like Chad?
Before I got the Cameroon residence visa, actually my tourism visa is expired already. But I went to their office, I want to renew it, and then no one wants to help me, just asked me to go back home and then go later. And I go later, they ask me to go back home and go later again.
Wow. I love Mexico actually already.
But I also saw that people, if you expire your tourism visa, they can give you a fine and you may got trouble. So I don't want to be like that, so I need to make a decision. So I can maybe go to United States and then go back to Mexico, then I can renew my tourism visa like that for half year. Or I can choose to have the temporary residency visa. So, because at that moment, my Mexican friend actually is really good. They recommend me a job interview. So I passed through 4 interviews. I almost got the job. But then they find out I'm a tourist. It's not a resident, so I can't get a job because I don't have work permit. So at that point, made me to think about maybe I should apply for the residence visa. It doesn't mean I need to stay here, be a resident, whatever, but it means I have freedom to choose. I think after I came from Hong Kong, then I think freedom is important. Why I think Hong Kong is a long freedom. And when you have choices, it means you have freedom. So I just make more possibility for myself. So I apply the temporary residence.
Right.
Yeah, so then
I think like you're also very lucky. You have Hong Kong passport, which is one of the strongest passport in the world. So this is actually also a privilege. I don't think an Iranian passport can actually got this privilege, like to go to the United States and come back to Mexico. He's going straight away to his country. So I think this is actually a privilege as well, and you are lucky to have it. So again, I think Abdikafi want to have like a question, so we go to Abdikafi. Who are you?
Hello, yes. My name is Abdikafi and I'm from Somalia. A former nomad, you know, if you know about nomad people. You know, the issue of migration really fascinates me, you know, how much you can be blinded by staying in one place and how much your eyes can be opened, you know, by traveling. I have two questions. One is, you know, human beings are, sometimes we say like we are different, you know, like maybe our skin are different, our languages are different, but I am really much more curious in similarities, like, you know, what, yeah, so my question is, what do you think is the nature of human beings, like generally by, you know, living in different places, observing different places from different people from different cultures? Is there anything about human nature that you think are really, in essence, are similar? And the second question is, what do you think about the future of migration? Now there's COVID, and there are also a lot more other challenges. You know, countries trying to close their borders and you know, feeling like if you are really migrating to a country, you feel like, you know, you're an alien, you are, like, I see many people in Latin America, like, you know, like so many caravans, you know, going to the US, but then many people calling them like, oh, these people, these aliens, like these invaders, you know, or whatever. So, yeah, so these two questions, if you may, answer. Thank you.
Okay, two questions. One of them is the human nature, and in short, and the second one is the future of migration. To my answer, human are just greedy, sleepy, eat, and have more babies. So how about you guys? Like, so tell me, what is the human nature in migration?
Sorry. But I think like not just they can share, like everyone can respond to the same question.
Right. Okay. Freelance. Everyone can answer to his question though, actually. Yeah, if you have a talk, say it. If you don't, we go to the audience. I'm going to put in some sleepy people. I see some faces already like going down, so I will actually target them. So look at me, I will target you. You can answer to that if you want. If not, I will go there.
As you all know, an inflatable dinghy crossing the English Channel deflated, and about, I think it was 27 migrants.
This is the human nature or the future of the migration?
This is human nature, I think.
Human nature.
One of them has been named. Her name was Marianne. She was 27. She was a Kurd. These people are being battered around like ping pong balls. We see the same in Poland and Belarus. And to me, they are heralds of the future of migration. It will be driven by strife and conflict, as it's always been. And now we have the added impetus of climate change, drought and famine. So I think the world, the comfortable world, the European world, had better get used to it, because there's more coming. As to human nature, I'm not a patronizing white liberal. I know what people are. I was in the police a long time. In Bermuda, very briefly in Bermuda, I served with black officers. They were roughly 50-50. And my pal was black. But we had the 9-to-5 syndrome, and that is, we worked together, fought together, policed together, and when we were off duty, we went into our different tribes, the white tribe over there, the Bermudan tribe over there, and the Caribbean tribe over here, the Barbadians. And that's how things are. I think that we are hardwired. We are, after all, risen apes, nothing more. We're primates. And we're hardwired to seek our own kind. Sorry, but that's how I see
Great,
it.
thank you. Anyone want to ask to Kathy question? Yes, someone there. Can you pass the mic, please? Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I think the nature is, maybe every one of us can bear, like, human nature, in a sense, it's no different, irrespective of your culture, your skin color, where you come from. Like here in Hong Kong, when I first came here, I didn't know there are poor people in Hong Kong. Not until I volunteered with one NGO, and we went distributing food. We went to homes, I started seeing homeless people. That is when I started seeing that actually, there's nothing that separates a Hong Konger and a Sudanese. We are all human beings, we all suffer. We all go through the same experience. There are others who are more disadvantaged than me, who is foreigners here in Hong Kong. And they are Hong Konger, they have Hong Kong ID. So in terms of human nature, I think there's no boundary of human experience. We all go through the same struggle and suffering. What makes us different is sometimes choices and privileges that are given to us and how we use it. I think in that sense, I think we are all the same. But in terms of the future of migration, from my perspective, I feel like it's not something that we in this room can even imagine. I think it's terrible even to start imagining it because we are not going to understand how it's going to go. Maybe we can recall back when 1951 Refugee Convention was signed and put into, like, adopted by many countries. Who would have thought that in 2021 we will still be talking about refugees? So it's something that is so huge that we can't comprehend how it's going to end up. But the more people are still, like, creating or strengthening their border control, the more we will see the indifferences in how they treat people from other race or other country. The more people will focus on, like, me and my country, my race, my nationality, the more indifference we will still see, or people are not being welcomed because they're not from my country. So I think as the world is moving toward, like, technological advancement, there's that part of human feeling and human connection that is a gap that I think it's not easy to fill because people tend to look at a lot of perspective, like a lot of areas in terms of what can benefit me as a country if I open my border for more people to come in. Like, for example, in Hong Kong, we have a lot of domestic helpers. There are migrant workers coming to work in Hong Kong. And I don't think there's any problem with that because it benefits the economy. But when you talk about refugee coming here, there's a problem because they feel it's not benefiting the economy. I think human beings or government or policy makers, they need to be re-educated as to the advantage of migrant workers and those ones who are coming into the country not as migrant workers, because at the end of the day, most of them or all of them do carry the same values and they can contribute equally to the economy of the country. So when people start to, when countries start to look at those perspectives, maybe the future of migration will be much better than what is going on now. But it is hard because we are not lawmakers and the stakeholders who control what will happen in the future, or it's a little bit far beyond my understanding, I can say.
Understood. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to answer to the question? Yes, Yukko. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that was for sharing because you made me think about I want to share a little bit because I need to admit I'm really lucky. Yeah, but I know there is not all the people are not lucky. And actually, in Mexico is the country that most of the Latin Americans want to come to migrate here because it is have actually not really better economic, not really better political situation, but it's better than their country. So there is a train, it's called this train in Mexico. So the Latin American people, they will jump on the train and then they will take this to travel and then they come to Mexico. It's just for a chance to survive, to make living. And because when I live near the train rail and I met one time there was a guy to ring our bell and then they just want some food or soup or water or money so they can keep their traveling. So it's like, it's actually super dangerous for them because it's like they just jump into the train and then grab it and then move and yeah, they risk their life to find more opportunity because their country political situation is worse or they have another problem and in their country they don't have any chance in their country. So actually those that have spoken for me and yeah. But I think I also see the beauty of the human being is like when I see this kind of refugee or people and then we will help each other and the community will help and they have organization to help them to voluntary. So it's like, human is greedy really. They're beautiful too, yeah.
Right, human greedy, they will jump to the opportunity in all means. Jumping in a train, to another plane, like they go for their means. Thank you so much for sharing, Yukko. So now, of course, Julius want to share. Yes, of course.
Yeah, really, the real meaning of like immigration, it really seems like we are running behind money. You migrate to your country to come to Hong Kong, to go to another country to look for money. Let's just put it like before there was no money, that our forefathers exchanged rice for meat, exchanged meat for this one. There was no existence of money. People go to other countries without any problem. Like for example, I am in Cameroon. I know, in Chad, I need to have the skin of the camel. So just take my rice, move up there, cross to Chad. I take my rice across to Chad, I exchange to rice. There was no registration, there was nothing. And life was simple. You come to my site, you come and take, you come around or you come get the rice or salt, and then you go back.
Yeah.
But now since everybody is looking about the economic and everything, you cannot come and take all my words and everything and go. That's why the border, everything, you have to straighten everything so that people cannot come and take all their words. Yeah. But there's one thing that we fail to understand. What if there was not existence of money? How the country, how was it supposed to be? The whole world was supposed to move, function like how?
Right, without money. Actually, I do remember, like, sometimes I and my friend just we go to Cameroon. We just take a car in the weekend, just go there without any visa, anything, just like give some cash to the officers at the border and we go there just to buy bananas and avocados. It's very cheap there. Usually, this is how I go to Cameroon and come back. It's very amazing. So yes, he raised another point, which is money. What if we don't have money? How? You wanna go further? Okay, we go to John outsider. We're gonna make us go further, John.
John outsider, retired terrorist. So I didn't bring any bombs. The thing is, when the organizer described, it seems that our knowledge says that all the immigration started after putting borders. Then the migration happened. What? The migration actually a natural phenomenon. It's a biological matter. Like all the animals right now, if the birds want to go to somewhere else, they go. And if the buffaloes run out of grass, they pass. No one checks their passport. It doesn't matter where they are coming from and where they go. And then this is something that it's supposed to be a right for any creature born in earth by birth. You're born, you should be anywhere you want in the earth, anywhere that you feel suitable to live and you are more productive. But somehow we got with this idea that this is mine, my country. Who said this country is yours? Like, how this earth was here way before you and will be here after you're gone. This is not yours. And we pass it, and I want to pass this for my safety, or I can live better, or I can help better. So who are you to tell me to come and go? But unfortunately now we got these borders, and some authority says, okay, this is my area and that's your area. And then they put legal boundaries, right? The legal says that because you are from that country, you cannot come and stay here, or you cannot stay more than this time. But that person, because he's from the other country, he can come and stay. And everyone is equal in the eyes of the law. How this work? You say everyone is equal in the eyes of law, but I'm not equal because I'm from other countries. So this all conflicts. So it turns the immigration, instead of being a right, being a privilege for some people. So I would say, would you fight this? Would you say that, okay, everyone should be free to move or not? So it's very beyond the just
Great.
country.
You raised exactly our question at the main topic itself. Yes. So now I'm going to really bully some people. You guys look sleepy and some of them are talking. Come on. Who is next to you actually? At your left. You don't know your left?
But you can actually call her this directly.
Okay.
Not a terrorist, I don't know.
Can you pass the mic to the amazing lady in front of us?
You're in trouble.
Yes, thank you so much. Tell us your fault, anything.
Hello, this is Charles. I'm
Nice to
from
meet you,
Hong Kong.
Charles.
I also run a business for the corporate service industry.
Right.
My thought is I think this man is very good feeling because a very good opinion because the earth is everyone. No, whatever which place is not focused on each country. So I like to go to every country and have a different experience. And so yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes.
Can I add one?
Sure, sure, definitely.
The issue of like why we don't have the freedom to travel anywhere around the world.
Right.
I think
because you're
human
from
beings,
Somalia.
like we used to be tribes, different tribes as John Jay, I think one is mentioned, like different tribes have their own territory and they want to protect their
He looks
own
from
territory.
Viking.
So like some tribes, they are really from from green places like Brazil or Congo, and some tribes are from the desert like Chad, for example, right? Seriously, so like if a guy from the the desert comes to you, to your green area, then unless they are from friendly tribe, then I think you will try to protect your territory, unless he has something to exchange.
Right.
So in my view, the world is it's not an ideal world, but that is how it works.
Right. We have a lot of myths, okay? We will not try, okay? So now I want to put in Michelle. Like this lady, she's so sleepy and she don't want to talk. So, yes, hi Michelle. Who are you?
Yeah, I'm Michelle. So I was thinking about the questions you raised, about the nature of human life, distinguish who am I and who are they. And then this, I don't think this is, I think it's just nature. Like when we were small, and then we know only about thing in front of you. And then, because I have a nephew at 15 months, and then I learned from him that how he learned about the world. So, because he was born in a pandemic, so he doesn't get a chance to meet a lot of people. So his world is just his own 5-feet area that he can play. So I think this is how we learn. So we expose to things and then we learn about things. So when we know about others, we need to be exposed to the others. So same as the issue of migration. In the past, we don't talk about migration that much. So we are not that aware of the outsiders, or we are too aware of the outsiders. But recently, I think because a lot of the people in Hong Kong also migrate to other countries, and some of the Hong Kong people, they also flee from Hong Kong as well. So I think more and more people, they are aware of the migration issues. So they talk about it and then they learn about it. And I think there are a whole lot more discussion on this, so that more people are thinking about that.
Right.
So I think, this is actually a good chance for bringing different people from different countries to talk about what migration is and what we are. So I think, thank you for the host. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your insightful talk. So now I think I will go a bit behind. I see some gentlemen behind there.
Maybe I raise another question again, because before what I asked is about the nature, right? Do human beings separate you and me or they? So Michelle responded a bit. Then I want to know about culture this time, because this is why we host this multiracial, multicultural discussion. So when we talk about discrimination, exclusiveness, is it just by Hong Kong people or by Europe? How about African? How about I don't know, maybe the Middle East or other parts of the world? What's your culture? Yukko shared with us about Mexico or even South America. Since the people there, they're more welcoming. So how about within Africa or within your own continent? How do you treat refugees? How do you treat other migrants? Do you agree with that personally? How do you absorb from that culture?
I think I will answer to this. You know, Africans, we are extremely hospitable people. We welcome too much. That's why we've been fought so hardly until today, okay? No, seriously, African continent is being raped 100 years ago. It's been raped 50 years ago and keep raping until today. Seriously, why? I will come to that. African people in the whole continent, they're extremely welcoming because of their identity. He's from Cameroon, I am from Chad. From Cameroon, you go until down, mostly they are dominated by Bantu people, am I right? The Bantu culture, half of them mainly they come from the forest, and they are extremely welcoming. The way they greet you, it means go I see me in you, which is the Ubuntu, specifically philosophy of Bantu itself. I see me in you. The welcoming is too much. This is why exactly the colonial itself is really keep steering the country until today. Next, in the north, even the Chinese people, it's same things. Sometimes I'm saying to my friend, you just need to be greedy sometimes. Just stop to the hospital so much. So this is my sharing, so anyone can jump in it. There's someone here.
I think John wants
Maybe let me talk first.
Oh, after you. I didn't see the hand. After you.
Hello, my name is Candy. I'll compare
living in Hong Kong and where I come from Kenya.
Right.
We're neighbors
Right.
in the nomadic active. I'll give my home as an example. When you go to my home, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing my mom will do, she'll make tea. And this tea will be 2 flasks. One is for the visitors, and the other one is for us to drink. So whenever you go to your neighbors, you go to your, and then I'll just say Kenyan home because I don't know how they do it in Uganda or in Somalia. You'll always be given tea, and everyone will be so happy to have you around. And they will be happy to share with you. And when you're going back to wherever you came from, you'll be given food, fruits, everything they can find. They just go to the farm and make sure they give you something to carry home with you. On the contrary, when I came here in Hong Kong, it was really hard for me to adjust. One thing, you can't talk to your neighbors. You don't even know that. You try to initiate a conversation, it's, oh, yeah, before that. He's my neighbor, and I just learned, oh yeah, so you're that guy, you know. You don't know your neighbor, and you try to initiate a conversation, and you're like, okay, you even like feel, okay, I'm even afraid to, you know, what's going to happen. Are they going to say hi, or are they just, or you're like, I'll just say hi, whatever happens, happens, you know. For the migration, for the law part of it, I'll connect it to the question that was raised by the gentleman back there. When I came here, before I got the Hong Kong ID, it was a nightmare. I remember one day, just traveling across from the mainland to Hong Kong airport to go to Indonesia, I was denied entry. I was allowed to enter from the Chinese side of it, the China side of it, but when I got to the Hong Kong side of it, they asked me, okay, how much money do you have? Can we see your documents? I had my flights in like 3 hours, and I was at Shenzhen University, and I just completed my 12 my noon class, and I was rushing across the border to get to Hong Kong for my 5 p.m. flight. I've done it before, and then you will be okay, you know. But now, how much money you have? Show us your tickets. Where are you going? You know, it's like an interrogation room. You know, the FBI room things you see in movies. I showed them, but they told me, okay, you have to wait here. You ask questions. Oh, we're supposed to do this. So it's like a firewall after firewall. At the end of it, there was so much time, 1 hour to my flight. I mean, I'd already given up. They tell me, oh, you know what? You have to go back and use the international waters. That they're telling me to go from Shenzhen Bay to Sheko, and then take the ferry from Sheko to airport. I'm like, it's 1 hour. I've already wasted much time. You got me out of the minibus to airport. They actually took me out of the bus. And now you're telling me to go back, to take a taxi again, all the way to Sheko, wait for the ferry, and not miss my flight. I mean, can you even like refund my flight or do anything? Well, I ended up missing my flight and the trip, and everything went back. Next day I went back to us. We wrote to the immigration, but still the response was very vague, you know. It has to be like that. But the funny part, after getting moving to Hong Kong and getting the ID card, all that vanished. It's like day and night, you know. No one is asking you anything anymore. You're like, okay, what happened? Am I, you know? Anyway, to cut a long story short, I think African people, and speaking of the whole place, we're very welcoming. You go there, you feel at home. It's rare for you to find many firewalls like that, but you have to be strong all the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, great one. Yes, definitely.
Do you want to speak?
I want to speak. What's the thing? Oh, it's hospitality. Passing to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to also think about the question asked by you and about the whole, how Africans, for example, would ideally treat an immigrant or maybe a guest. I think over the last 100 years, the whole concept of immigration went through changes. In the past, it would be that, for example, coming from maybe a nomadic culture, for example, my grandfather will take his camel, and then when there are not enough green pastures, and go all the way to Ethiopia, which was nearest to this regional area at the time. And the journey to complete one way will be like a month of going one direction. And then we'll stay there maybe 6 months or 3 months or 4 months, whatever, until the rains come to his original area. And I think in that way, when we look at it, the people who lived where he was going will see him differently than the way they will see maybe other immigrants now. In a way that they will see him as somebody who will be here exchangeably. For example, when he has his lands green and they have the drought next year or next season, they will be able to go back to his. So they see it as some form of exchangeable value in that kind of relationship. And nowadays, immigration is somehow connected with resources. I think like wherever you move, people also think of like the challenges brought by mass migration, for example, in a particular place. And I think in a small scale, it's still what we call that kind of original hospitality holds in most of African places, I think. But when you have maybe hundreds of thousands of people moving in one location, of course, I think the same sentiment will be felt still.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kamal. So now we go to John.
Yeah, I just listened to my African friends telling me how kind and warm and welcoming Africans are. And I agree in my limited experience, which includes as a child being in Khartoum and travel, I climbed Kilimanjaro, Kenya, Tanzania, and they were all lovely. But I do beg your pardon, I know something of the history, and long before the white man came, the colonists, the Italians and the British and the French, long before they came, Africans were fighting among each other. Come off it. If your grandfather grazed his camels on some pastoralist green land, there would be war. At the moment, right now, there are wars.
It's internal affair, okay?
Yeah, yes, I know that, but I've heard this. Every time I speak, I had an argument with a Nigerian gentleman. I loved him, he's a great man, but then he kept telling me about how wicked the British were. Nigeria gained independence in 1960, and there's nothing but fought among itself ever since. So please, don't tell me about this perfect pre-colonial world that you all came from. It didn't exist.
You're amazing. You're really amazing. I like that. Give it to him.
You're perfectly right, John. We don't argue that. I think not only in Africa, there were also war in Europe where tribal groups were fighting for this what we so-called government came in place. But what we are talking of is like the question of this thing is about how we treat foreigners. I think most of my fellow colleagues answer about how we treat one another. But in terms of foreigners, like for example, I take my country, we have a lot of Chinese who are living in my country, they are constructors. But one thing I've noticed is people from my place go extra mile to defend a foreigner than his own brother. I don't know if it's other country too, because we feel like a foreigner is someone who have no one to stand with him. So when we see someone treating a foreigner in an unjust way, everyone take a stand with the foreigner. So that is something I see in my country. But when I move a little bit further north to what is so-called Egypt now, I understand that the people living there are not the real people of the land, but the culture is completely shocking, honestly, because I've seen a lot of racism in Cairo than I've ever seen anywhere else. I don't really call them African anyway, so it's like more like Arab culture, I can say. But it doesn't mean everyone is bad. Like, there are always bad and good people in every country that you go in. So, for example, in Hong Kong, if I have bad experience with a Hong Konger, it doesn't mean all Hong Kongers are bad people. So when you go to Africa and you have bad experience, it doesn't mean all Africans are like that, or all people in that particular country are like that. There are certain people who are really good. So I think it all depends on, like, generally, the culture in Africa is more welcoming to foreigners compared to the way we treat one another.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, we're going to wrap up, and then I will leave like a few minutes for you guys to connect and know each other and to just to know deeper. And John Outsider, actually on Saturday, the coming Saturday, he's actually having an amazing event which is going to be a comedy show. And there's another also. Can I have the poster? I want to yes, thank you so much. So we have the Afro East, the Afro Seas. Actually, there are two refugees guys in Hong Kong, and they are singers. They're going to perform with him. And John Outsider, he himself is kind of an asylum seeker, a comedian, and also a writer. So they're going to have it next week. Please attend this event if you can't. And thank you so much again for the space, for coffee number 8 again. And then also thank you guys, our amazing audience, to be with us this tonight. And give it up to yourself, and thank you so much. And thank you also, Yukko. You're amazing. You wake up from 4 a.m. to be with us. Thank you, Yukko. And also to John and also August Julius. Thank you so much, all of you guys. And give it up to yourself, please.
Is Yukko still on? Yukko, are you still there? Are you still there? Hello?
Yes, she's there.
Yes, I've got itchy. I've got itchy feet again, Yukko. I'm coming to Mexico City tomorrow.
Some are having itchy nose, some are having itchy feet. I don't know what's that anymore. Bye, Yukko. Thank you. Have an amazing night. Sure. Bye-bye.